Welcome to this explainer. You know, when we think about ancient Egypt, our minds instantly jump to those sweeping, cinematic aerial shots, right? The massive pyramids just piercing the sky, that colossal sphinx standing silent guard, ruins baking in the desert sun that have somehow stuck around for millennia. It's so easy to look at those towering monuments and think, yep, we've got the full picture. But, as we're going to see today, what's sitting up there in the bright sunlight? That is literally just the tip of the iceberg.
So it really makes you wonder, what still lies hidden beneath the surface? As an investigator of history, I find it absolutely baffling that beneath the most photographed monuments on the entire planet, there are fundamental mysteries that are still totally stumping modern experts. I mean, we have these towering, highly visible structures, but the shadows they cast, they're hiding secrets we're only just beginning to wrap our heads around. The ancient Egyptians basically left us a monumental puzzle, and today we're going to try to piece together the clues they left behind.
Okay, let's dive into this by looking at the architects behind this whole operation. Think about the sheer absolute power required to build a civilization like this. The pharaoh wasn't just a politician, or even just a standard king. To their people, they were the earthly embodiment of a god, a literal living god, and that single belief, that's the engine driving everything we're looking at. It fueled the construction of sprawling royal palaces, colossal statues, and vast temples. The reality that a living god was walking among them meant the ruling elite could command total, unquestioning obedience from their people.
And the domain of these god kings was absolute. They oversaw the spiritual health of the entire nation through these incredibly complex ceremonies, and they commanded truly unimaginable human and material resources. We're talking about influencing every single level of society, from the highest priests in the inner sanctums all the way down to the farmers working the muddy banks of the Nile. Because they were living gods, their legacy demanded monuments that frankly defied the known limits of human capability. They absolutely had to leave a mark on the earth that proved their divinity.
And because they were gods, their legacy demanded the impossible. Which brings us to the ultimate enduring puzzle, the pyramids. We really need to look at these structures not as some closed book of ancient history, but as an active, ongoing investigation. I mean, for centuries, people have stared at these monuments and just wondered, how? They're this incredible testament to immense power, sure, but they're also a massive engineering puzzle that experts are still actively trying to crack today. The physical evidence is right there in front of us, yet the exact methods remain totally shrouded in the sands of time.
And this brilliantly illustrates what is at the absolute heart of that puzzle: a logistical nightmare. We are talking about millions of solid stone blocks. Some of the larger granite ones weigh upwards of 80 tons. To put that into perspective, that's like dragging a space shuttle across a brutal desert environment without any modern machinery. How in the world did ancient workers actually manage to transport, perfectly shape, and then precisely stack these staggering weights to heights of nearly 500 feet? It's an architectural feat that entirely breaks our modern understanding of what ancient engineers could do.
Actually, the challenge escalated way beyond just dragging heavy stones around. Once they got them there, they had to engineer interiors precise enough to withstand millions of tons of crushing rock directly above them, all while weaving in these incredibly complex, hidden passages designed to trick grave robbers and protect the sacred spaces. Now, it's important to remember here that while we have some very strong theories backed by highly detailed architectural reconstructions, we are still searching for the definitive, absolute answer to exactly how they pulled off this flawless execution across every single stage of construction.
Let's move to and see how this builds as we transition our focus deep underground. Because this is where the story shifts from brutal, heavy engineering to exhilarating discovery. Imagine leaving that blinding, hot desert sun to squeeze your way into tight, dust-choked corridors, revealing golden artifacts and ancient treasures in dark, hidden tunnels. It is an incredibly suspenseful atmosphere. Just picture uncovering untouched relics and trying to code ancient hieroglyphics by the flickering light of a torch. This right here is the true search for the lost treasures of the pharaohs.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between these two completely different worlds. Up above ground, you have this grand, imposing display of public power. The sweeping desert landscapes, the colossal pyramids, the massive sphinx. It was all built to project eternal, unbreakable dominance to the masses. But then, below ground, it is an entirely different, intimately spiritual world. The secretive royal tombs, those priceless golden artifacts, the intricate hieroglyphics.
They were completely hidden from view, designed strictly to protect the pharaoh's soul as it journeyed into the afterlife.
Of course, whenever you mix hidden, ancient tombs with profound darkness, human imagination is going to run wild and create things like the famous mummy's curse. For decades, pop culture has just been totally captivated by this dramatic idea of supernatural forces striking down anyone who disturbs the dead. But as researchers looking at the actual source material, the unexplained anomalies we're finding, like perfectly sealed chambers and massive, newly discovered voids hidden inside these structures, are honestly way more gripping than any Hollywood legend. These ongoing archaeological mysteries are so fascinating, they stand perfectly on their own without us needing to invent a supernatural explanation.
So picture those torchlit chambers, the mysterious symbols, hieroglyphic warnings, and incredible uncovered relics. There is this undeniable, dramatic suspense to these hidden spaces. But you might be wondering, why does our drive to uncover all this actually matter? What should you take away from this? Well, I think it speaks to our own deep human desire for legacy. The ancient Egyptians went to absolutely unfathomable lengths to ensure they wouldn't be forgotten. By decoding their symbols and carefully excavating their relics, we're basically bridging a gap of thousands of years. We are the ones keeping the memory of their civilization alive.
Which brings us to a really humbling realization. Even after thousands of years of deep, meticulous excavation, and even using today's most advanced technological scanning, the sands of ancient Egypt continue to guard secrets we simply cannot yet explain. The shadows of the Nile are stubbornly holding on to their mysteries. But you know what? That is a thrilling reminder of how much there is still left to learn in this world. It really makes you wonder, what monumental discovery is just waiting out there right now, buried beneath the sand, ready to completely rewrite our understanding of history? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and as always, stay curious.